Okay, since we're supposed to get 8 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow, I thought I would take an opportunity to make the world famous Miller's Cafe vegetable stew that we used to serve out there. But anyway, you just start basically with a pot of water. We usually put distilled water. We got a reverse osmosis system in our thing, but you know, water. Just make sure it's good water. And then you take some stew meat, and I've taken the liberty to cut it up. You want it about pieces like this, you know, bite-sized pieces. Some of the butchers cut it a little bit big, so I cut it down. So basically what we do is we'll just take this in the pot, and we'll just put her in. And then we'll get a lid and put a lid on it, and then just let it cook until the meat is done, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we let this boil for about, I don't know, about 20 minutes or so. Just enough to kind of make sure the beef is done. I mean, it doesn't have to be all the way done because we're going to cook it some more here in a little bit, but this looks about right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to separate the meat from the broth. Okay, basically what we did was just poured the contents with the meat in through a colander and separated the meat out, and we're going to set the meat aside and then continue with the next step. Alright, so now we've got the broth separated from the meat, and then I went ahead and cut up some potatoes, an Idaho white potato, and some carrots and celery, and then I sliced up about a small medium white onion. And I really think that the onions and the carrots are what's really give it the flavor. And of course, from here you can put whatever you want in it. I mean, some people put cabbage in and put corn in, whatever. But these are just the ingredients we use when we used to make it at Miller's. So, so what we're going to do here is just pour all this in the broth, and of course the onion. Now, I don't chop the onion up real fine because basically, you know, if you don't like onions, you know, the bigger they are, the easier they are to pick out of the soup. So I wouldn't chop the onions up real fine. I would just, you know, kind of chop them up to where just, you know, about quarter size, and that's about right. Then what the next step is going to do is just going to turn the fire back on, and we're just going to let these cook until and now we put a lid on it, and we're going to let this cook until the vegetables are done, or tender, soft. Okay, we've let the vegetables cook for about 15 or 20 minutes. They're not quite done, but it is time to put the meat back in at this point. So that's what we're going to do now. And we will stir this a little bit, and I mentioned before that with the carrots and the onions, the one I meant to say that the celery and the onions are the two things that give it the best flavor. So I stand corrected what I earlier said. Now we'll put the lid back on and probably just let it simmer for another 20 minutes, and then we can finish it up. Okay, we've let them cook for about another 20-25 minutes. We'll take the lid off, and you'll see everything's kind of cooked down pretty nicely. Now we're going to wrap up the process, and the last ingredients we're going to do are, we got a can. I really prefer like diced tomatoes, but these are stewed tomatoes, which are fine. We're going to put in some stewed tomatoes, and then tomato juice, not tomato sauce, but a quart of tomato juice. And then, of course, we have salt and then a little bit of sugar. So we're going to put in the stewed tomatoes now, or diced tomatoes. We're going to put that in. Now, if you use tomatoes, of course, tomatoes have a little acid to them, so you really like to cut that with a little bit of sugar. Now, how much? Well, I'm going to say probably, this is a tablespoon, probably a couple tablespoons full of maybe 2.5, and then we're going to stir that up. And let's see, we get a nice color, a nice blend there. And of course the carrots are probably going to be the last thing that soften up real good, but of course if we're not quite done, it make a difference at this point because I'm going to cook it some more. And then the last thing, again, I'm going to pour in 1 quart of tomato juice. And once the tomato juice is in, and then we're going to add some salt. Now, how much salt? Well, here we go again. I usually put in like 2 handsful, and I'll show you in just a second. That's what I call, you know, a nice handful. I'm going to do 2 of these. There's 1, and then, of course, I'm going to estimate the second one here, and that's about 2 handsful of salt. And of course, then you're going to stir it real well. And then from this point on, it's just a matter of just taking a sample and a taste. So I'm going to take a little bit of the broth and of course taste it. And I'm telling you, I think I nailed it, because that's pretty good. Now, once you get everything stirred in, at this point you're going to put the lid back on, and then you're going to let it turn it down to low. Of course, I got an electric stove. I'd much rather cook with gas, but anyway, it is what it is. So there, I'm just going to put it on, like I said, low, and let it simmer for probably another 20 minutes, and then we're going to be done. Okay, we've let it slowly simmer for probably another 20 minutes or so. We'll take the lid off of it, and you can see we probably got a good rolling boil. I'm going to turn the fire off, and like I said, we've already tasted it, and it's seasoned to taste. And again, you know, the seasoning is kind of a personal preference thing, but this is basically how we did it. Now, from here, it's done. We'll let it cool, and then we'll let it cool for a couple, 3 hours, and then, of course, we'll put it in containers when it cools and refrigerate it. And this can last. I mean, if you keep refrigerated, I mean, this could last a good week. I mean, you can rewarm it up in a microwave, and it's really good stuff. I'm telling you. That's it.